What happens when culture becomes compulsory? Whodunnit? And what is the following dark? Welcome to Mythic Mirror, a podcast for lovers of myth and fantasy who want to live a magical and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Mary C. Kehoe.
And I'm your co-host, Carolina Carter.
And as you can hear, the ducklings are still in my office. They're getting quite big. They are now on the floor instead of my desk. And I took them outside today for a little bit, but it is still, they're not quite ready for full time outside. So you're graced with the duckling chirps a little longer.
Yay.
So this is a book club podcast episode where we are exploring Thud by Terry Pratchett. Do you want to start us off with what you think of the book so far? This is your first read. So this is exciting.
This is my first read, and I very much enjoyed reading a murder mystery. What I really enjoy the most about Terry Pratchett is he's able to create such a high-stakes storyline while still you're chuckling to yourself every chapter. It's all very funny, but it's all very, you are also on the edge of your seat reading the next chapter and the next chapter and the next. And it's an interesting one because I say chapter, there actually are not any chapters in this book. I don't know if you've noticed that. It just goes.
So I started a list because this book, all of Terry Pratchett's books are like this, but there's so much going on. So I started a list of all the threads that we have in this book, and we can talk about each one of them individually, but this is what I came up with, and let me know if I've forgotten any.
Okay.
So we've got the Coombe Valley tension between the trolls and the dwarves. We've got vampires coming into the watch. A.E. Pessimal doing an audit of the watch. And as he asks, what is the economic use of Nobby? And then we have Nobby and Sergeant Colin with the painting theft. And then we have the murder of Ham Crusher, the introduction of the following dark, the deep downers undermining the city, and what are they mining for? And then who is the troll's Mr. Shine? And then finally, Vimes as a dad.
Yes. I don't think you missed any. I don't think. So maybe starting out with the biggest one, the one that's threading through all of these, is the Coombe Valley anniversary. Now, maybe I misread it, but I cannot really figure out what actually happened at Coombe Valley. I understand that there was a great fight between trolls and dwarves, but seemingly nobody really knows how it started or how it ended.
Right. Both sides think the other one started it. And we don't know what really happened. Nobody alive today knows what really happened.
Right. Which brings us to the painter who painted this great painting of the situation where nobody knows. He said he found something at the spot that gave him the vision, right? And then he thought, and then he was worried he was a chicken. I am not a chicken.
Right. He's gone pretty much insane, seemingly, hearing voices and whatnot. Hearing voices from the 50-foot mural of the battle that he's created, which is supposed to be in a circular room so that when you stand, you're completely surrounded by the battle.
Right. So now that painting's gone.
Right at the anniversary.
Tensions are high.
Yeah, so far Vimes doesn't know he knows that there was a theft, but he's been focused on the murder of Ham Crusher, so he doesn't actually know what's been stolen yet.
Right. So then with all this tension already being enough, then we have our murder. The murder of Ham Crusher, whomst the dwarves claim was murdered by a troll. Obviously, this would be very bad news for all the tension, and it would likely tear the city apart if this is true and if it gets out to the public. Correct?
Yes. So now, this is another, well, I don't know if this is a thread, but it's part of the murder, is the whole idea that started with the deep downers, who are the dwarves that who never come up to the surface, that are living by their own rules. So the idea
Right.
that a murder has happened and we don't need to tell the watch about it. And then even dwarves in the watch are feeling like they can't talk about it because we're not supposed to be telling humans. So suddenly this isn't we're all on the in the watch together. It's speciesism is being reintroduced. Whereas, earlier in the year it had been all of them working together as they were all on the watch.
Right. And I appreciate Sam Vine's, whom some refer to him as straight as an arrow, because he is approached by his underlings who are asking if perhaps troll and troll could go on watch together and dwarf and not mix the two. And he says, absolutely not, because then where does it end? And I mean, you just love Sam Vimes. Everything he says and everything he does, the way he tries to reason through things as he as he works on his temper, um, is a delight to read. And then also, I don't know if it's too soon to get to this, but the last thing you mentioned was him going home to read to his son at 6 p.m. sharp. And for one thing, obviously, you and I talk a lot about ritual and routine and how important it is. And this is an excellent example of that. And he talks about, as he's rushing home, how, well, would he notice if he was a minute late? He could probably even be 5 minutes late without him noticing. But then what if but then that's what's the difference between that and a half hour and an hour? And so it has to be 6 o'clock every night. Um, and it just really exemplifies, I think, the backbone and the heart of Sam Bimes, that he will do the right thing every time without fail. And also that in the midst of all this madness and his city on the brink of tearing itself apart, he still has his priorities straight, and these little small acts of love and kindness matter.
Mm-hmm. That part jumped out at me too, not only for what you're saying, but also it not only exemplifies his priorities, but the way in which he rules himself, which is something that continually becomes important in this book. So you see it in this way that seems so domestic and almost not, something that's totally separate from his job with the watch and leading the watch, but it's intrinsically connected because that is how he rules himself in everything. Of if you give a little, what's to stop you from giving a lot? It's,
Mm-hmm.
if you take one little bribe, what's the difference between a little bribe and a big bribe? Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
And the fact that the way that day plays out. So the first, what are we? We are halfway through the book. That's all one day.
Mm-hmm.
And and so far he's missed the appointment that his wife said he had to be at with the family portrait artist
Mm-hmm.
and didn't think anything of it. He was on important work business.
Mm-hmm.
And then he misses a meeting with veterinary. And still, that's, what, I'm busy. This is a murder and
Mm-hmm.
it's key to what's going on right now. Doesn't think anything of it. And then when he finds out it's 11 minutes to 6 and he's nowhere near home, now it's panic mode. It's get a hold of the watch, have them meet him, a
Mm-hmm.
desperate taking,
Make it happen.
commandeering carriages and crawling across boats to get home. And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly that matters quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. It's so far my favorite scene in the whole book.
Mm-hmm. And then he wakes up in a panic, wondering where he is, surrounded by all these fluffy animals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I really felt for him in that part. How does it say in the book that Sam Vimes felt that the universe would present him with a bill for his good fortune, that he's had this rise to wealth, he's met the love of his life, they have a son together who he loves with his whole heart, and he just feels like this massive wave is coming to just wash all this goodness away from him in his life. And it reminded me of something we've talked about on here before, of just like healing and how you think you're healing to deal with pain, but the truth is that you have to heal to deal with joy and to deal with comfort and to deal with peace, because if your nervous system is dysregulated, you don't know what to do with those things, and you do feel like you're just always waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm. And you don't feel that you deserve to keep it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt some unhealed bits within myself because I was like, yeah, something bad is probably going to happen to him. He's probably going to lose everything.
Yeah, I think many of us have those waves of panic right when everything's nice and good. And I will say, unfortunately, stories, TV, movies don't help with that.
Yeah.
Every time something's going great, for the plot to move forward, something bad has to happen. And they always make it extra good so that the bad is even worse.
Every episode of Shrinking, I am like, I'm too happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling too good. And then naturally, this is not a spoiler, but if you watch Shrinking, you understand. At the end of every episode, you're like, and now I'm sad.
Oh.
Very, very sad.
So let's talk about The Following Dark. What do you think it is?
I'll tell you, but I want you to draw the symbol the way you think it is, how they describe, and I'll draw the way the symbol is, the way I think it is, and we'll show each other.
This is a test in reader comprehension and retention.
Mm-hmm.
And drawing. Let's see yours.
Yeah?
Oh, all right.
If you are listening to the podcast, I drew it how it was described in the book. Oh! Very interesting. So mine is a circle with 2 vertical lines through the whole circle. Mm-hmm. Yours only goes halfway through and they're diagonal.
Diagonal, yeah. We'll have to go back and read the book. Or someone who's read the book along with us, comment which one of us is correct.
Give us comments with your pictures of what you think the following dark symbol looks like.
Draw us the following dark.
Help us.
I say that as if that's cute, and it's an ominous sign.
So I think we've met the following dark. That little paragraph all in italics where this anamorphous consciousness of darkness is in the city and moving through the city and feels this opportunity to seize on something which we don't know quite what it is, but then gets thrown back and slinks back into an alleyway. I don't quite know what threw it back, other than perhaps Sam Vimes. Sorry, my cat's sitting on my lap and he just fell. Why? Because he's orange and he doesn't know how to just sit. Maybe Sam Vimes reading to his son, maybe that act of love and ritual kicked it out. I think what it was seizing upon is, it seems, I think, maybe rage, maybe aggression, maybe resentment. That's the impression I got. I don't think any of those words were in that paragraph.
There's something that you missed in that paragraph that I also missed the first time I read it. Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Or do you want to just...
No, I mean, I read it. I just have bad reading comprehension. That's why I'm on a book podcast.
I find it very interesting that you missed it, because when I first read it, I did too, and I didn't put it together till much later. And then rereading, I was like, oh, it says right there. So in the beginning of that paragraph, it says that he is in a mind, and the mind looks like a city in dark and in the rain.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whose mind?
That's the question.
Interesting. Okay, so we've definitely met the following dark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't know whose mind it is currently in. Correct.
And what did Carrot say about it? It was interesting because Vimes put together the fact, because he's smart, the reason all the deep downers who are the, in control of the dwarves, leaders of the dwarves, they're all surrounded by candlelight because they're afraid of the following dark.
Mare. Is it when, okay, so Sam Vimes, when he's down, okay, maybe okay, slow down. Mm-hmm. Sam Vimes has to go into this mine where it's very hard to gain access but he has to find out if Ham Crusher is in fact dead, is in fact murdered, must review the scene. It's very difficult. The doors don't want to let him in. He manages to get in. While they're giving him the runaround down there, he runs down a passageway and he cuts his hand and it hurts very badly and it gives him a headache. Perhaps that is when the following dark got in his mind. Am I getting this?
Yeah.
Am I nailing this? This is my first time reading. We're doing this together. This is a theory. We don't know. That's my theory.
It's a good theory.
Our guesses for this week so far are Snuff, Men at Arms, and Feet of Clay.
All good guesses. The answer is Men at Arms.
Nice work.
So for this week, here is your Discworld Delight. Got any theories about that, young man? Something golden brown and vicious was oozing out onto the street from what was just possibly behind the mounds of the stuff, a shop. As the two wizards watched, there was a tinkle of glass, and the brown substance began to emerge from the second floor. Ridgely stamped forward and scooped up a handful, leaping back before the wall could reach him. He sniffed at it. Is it some ghastly emanation from the dungeon dimensions? Said Ponder. Shouldn't think so. Smells like coffee, said Ridgely. Now this is one that I haven't read yet. So, to your question about what happens when culture becomes compulsory.
Yes.
So one of the things we see about the deep downers, in contrast to the dwarves that have lived in the city for a long time, one of the things in dwarf culture is that women don't give any signs that they're women. It's like dwarves just all are dwarves, and you don't differentiate. Ladies do not show in any way, and it's always a. What did he say? I think this is in a different book. He says, just through some careful questions, does reproduction ever happen or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
But you see the prejudice of these deep downers who think the dwarves who, the women dwarves, female dwarves who show their any sign of femininity are becoming.
Or anyone.
Yeah, because they don't.
They don't like that the werewolf or the vampire are presenting female.
And they call the dwarves who are not following these strict rules that they've seen the light, meaning they've been corrupted.
Yeah, that they've been blinded.
Yeah. I love that another part of where he does something with language with the species that shows the different thought processes. So with dwarves, it's all like up and down is reversed, dark and light is reversed. And then with the trolls, he has one line about something far ahead in the past or something like that. I can't remember how he phrases it, but it's that trolls think that we are moving backwards through time. So the past is ahead of us. And it's these those little things that I love. And how does he think of those things? And
right.
the thing that got me the most of how did he think of this is the Pork Futures warehouse.
I had to reread that several times because I was like, how do you think of this? How do you write this? I've had to read it and I don't understand.
Well, and what came first? So trolls think better in the cold. So when Vimes is meeting the troll head mobster, he meets him, the troll assigns the meeting place of inside of this warehouse. Now, what came first? The idea that trolls think best in the cold. Okay, I'm going to do it in a warehouse. What is a fun Discworld-esque twist on a warehouse? Oh, pork futures that are like slowly coming into existence, because if you trade and sell pork futures, they must exist somewhere because of Discworld logic.
Right.
Now, did that come? Which one came first? Did he think of the pork futures and then weave that in? Well, I don't know.
Who knows?
Either way, brilliant.
And I do love, like I said, speaking of pork, we have a high stakes situation going on. So you are already feeling all this tension. And then when Vimes goes into the mine and finds out that they are digging far deeper than he could have ever imagined under his city, where you literally feel like they are undermining the city, where he feels like maybe it will all just collapse on itself. And that, so it's just sort of like you're already on edge and now you're like, oh God, it's all about to fall apart.
Yeah, what are they doing and why? And so now you have a group of people who think they are in dwarf terms below the law.
Yes.
They don't follow Ankh-Morporkian law at all, and they are creating an entire city underneath the city. This can't go well.
No.
And Vimes, who is always for the rights of man and the rights of property, is saying that the law and the private property rights go all the way down.
Yeah, yes. And it sort of makes you think, everything in moderation, including moderation, because you have here's Vimes bringing in the letter of the law to people who need it, in his opinion, maybe in my opinion as well. But then behind him, you have the accountant, the auditor, over auditing, over bureaucratizing, over analyzing. And it's like, well, we need law and order, but we don't need it. We don't need this much law and order.
Right.
There has to be room for humanity. There has to be room for nuance.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because the context of the situation is like, yes, Vimes has a complete unbreakable moral code that follows the law, that keeps the city running, that keeps people safe, that keeps, that protects people's rights. And but then when it comes to things like petty theft and other people, like, he wouldn't do it, he wouldn't take a petty bribe, but he understands that what Nabi brings to the Force and the information and the world that he exists in and what he brings is worth Nabi stealing petty cash, and he never steals above $4.50. So it's like he holds himself to one moral code and understands other people's moral codes, and as long as they all can coexist peacefully, then he lets there be that balance.
Right, and he's not perfect. I mean, he truly does not want a vampire on the watch. I don't know if we've really covered that yet, but throughout all this, he has been forced to put a vampire on the watch, and he's not happy about it. Nobody's happy about it, and it's really causing some strife in an already tense environment.
What was his line? The problem with vampires is it's all right until it isn't.
Yeah.
And that is actually, I wanted to bring that up. Angua's reaction to having a vampire on the watch, I thought was very interesting, because she's a werewolf, and she's being forced to work with a vampire. And when we are inside her thoughts with Vimes, it's about the vampire and what the vampire is and could do. With Angua, it's about how she feels when she's around the vampire.
It's very visceral.
Yeah, and that she feels more like an animal, and like they're graceless and stupid and hairy, and it's like all the things that are put on to werewolves by vampires for centuries. She feels it all, even if this vampire isn't thinking anything of that. She just, her natural grace and movement is like setting Angua's hair up. But I thought it was interesting because it really didn't have to do with the vampire. It had to do with her internal reaction.
Dialogue.
Yeah, dialogue.
Right, which brings us to, back to Coombe Valley, of just this story that has become an identity, which has become this resentment that has become culture. That it's just like, none of it's true, but you feel it so viscerally, this belief system.
And how many of the Watch are quitting for personal reasons, but it's all trolls and dwarves, because they don't want to have to face down a dwarf in defense of a troll fellow Watch person, or the vice versa.
Yeah.
And or try to break up trolls and dwarves fighting, because then if you're not with us, you're against us. Right. When again, months ago, a year ago, that wasn't an issue. So it's like, it's not always a part of the culture until it's like drummed up and reminded, and the event happens, and it's like that It's like a magnet. Just draws the hate magnet that draws everyone in.
Mm-hmm.
Which you see it in today, obviously, with when an event happens and people get scared, and it's like you're drawn into us versus them, and these camps, and the narrative is always trying to push, a group against another group.
Mm-hmm.
For our final question, Carolina.
Yes.
Vimes's mind is the city at midnight in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
What would your mind look like to the following dark?
Oh, what a good question. Mine's probably a coffee shop and a bookshop.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Probably also raining.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, what's yours?
Probably the ocean.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say probably the ocean for you.
On, in, by, all the above.
Still waters run deep, eh?
Yes.
I reserve the right to change my answer next week, but that's what
Oh,
I came
yeah.
up with naturally.
I like it.
Do you think a troll did this?
Oh, no, actually, that's nice because I don't actually remember who did it.
And do you have any
So
theories on who Mr. Shine is? Okay, those are my two last questions.
I do not think a troll did it, and I don't remember who, so that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Shine, I do remember a bit more about. Not who or what's coming, but about the mythology behind. So far we've just seen some graffiti, and Vimes has asked the mobster about it, and he kind of like passed it off as if it was just some, folklore. So we don't know why this graffiti's appearing at this time of trouble.
Mm-hmm. And I think the final puzzle piece that we have not added, well, not the final puzzle piece, but just an important part that we haven't added yet is that we do know that there was a troll at the scene of the crime that is described at the murder. We do know who that troll is. However, he, I believe, was on drugs. Slab,
Yes.
correct? And he doesn't even really know what happened. He just knows something bad happened and he needs to lay low because he was there. But I think we as the readers know he didn't do it.
The dwarves' reaction to it, we see, is one of the first scenes. It might even, I don't know if it is the first scene. One of the first scenes of the book is these voices in the dark, which you realize are dwarves, talking about the body and the murder, and that, this is a dwarf affair and the watch doesn't need to be involved. And clearly, this is what happened, right? And it feels very suspicious. Like,
yes,
if you really thought like the troll that you hate, the people, the species that you hate, killed a community leader, wouldn't you want your vengeance, and wouldn't you want to sick the watch on them? And and they haven't. The deep downers haven't really shown any impetus to curtail dwarves hating trolls. So I don't feel like that's their reason for trying to hide it at first.
no. Yeah, there's something very fishy here, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
And why is the following dark there? Carrot seemed to talk about, or Carrot was talking about it, that it might not even have to do with the murder. He was just saying the mine is a very unhappy place, and like he felt like something serious was going on even beyond the murder because this sign was appearing.
Right. Opposite of unhappy and the following dark. What was your spark of the week?
So my spark of the week was the ducklings today. When I took them outside, they all bedded down right next to me and were laying down. And I like to think it's because they like me, but I know it's because they wanted to be in the shade. So they were in my shadow. But it was very cute with all of the first, they're a little scared. And even though I'm the one who feeds them all the time, I also had to shove antibiotics down their throats. So our relationship became a little rocky. But it was just so adorable having them just come
Yeah.
up and trust me enough to lay there and, peck at my shirt and everything. So just
Yeah.
very cute.
That's very cute.
Yeah, just sitting in the sun with my ducklings.
Yeah. Sounds perfect.
How
You're a
about you?
proper Beatrix Potter.
Oh, yes.
I went to amateur comedy night this week, and I have to say, because I've talked to people about this, and most people are like, amateur comedy makes me want to crawl out of my skin. I have to sit on my hands, like it's so awkward, and it is. I do admit that's something I love about it, and I just feel like there was something in the air. I felt like every comedian was like pretty on their game. They all did really well. I laughed very hard. I'd say good, clean fun. It wasn't clean, but it was fun.
Are you going to perform?
No, God. People have asked me this, people being Bay, but I read this once where someone said online, they were like, if you want revenge on your ex, don't feel like you have to get back at them. Just convince them they're funny enough to do comedy. And I just think he's trying some long sort of revenge plan against me.
All right. Well, that about sums it up.
That about sums it up.
So, we will be doing a topic centered episode next, and then after that, we will be finishing Thud. So, if you haven't read it yet, you have time to catch up. It is a just delightful book, deep and funny and mysterious.
It's a great read.
Yeah. So come on and join us. You can get the book in the link in our show notes if you don't have it already. And if you want to read a short story and haven't read mine yet, it is also in the link
You really
in the
ought
show
to read
notes.
it. It's brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, thank you. And as always, we are so grateful to be spiraling through the universe with all of you. It's not always easy, but no good story ever is.